Okay, so it's -1 degrees outside. Let's get this show on the road. Welcome to the all-new Mini Clubman, the biggest Mini ever. This is actually riding on a BMW platform, or it might be a Mini platform. Well, BMW kind of had it first in the new 2 Series models, but of course now it's linked in here instead, of course. So front-wheel drive transverse engine as we're used to with the Minis, but in a much bigger package. Alright, so the back seats, of course. I am 5'6", so really I can fit in pretty much anything. This seat's set all the way back in its tracks, and I still have another 3 or 4 inches left of legroom, and of course plenty of headroom here. But of course a middle passenger might not be so comfortable as you'd normally expect. But there's plenty of room in the footwell, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Last thing to point out is some cool little air vents here, so keeping cool and comfortable should not be very difficult at all. So as my cameraman is now demonstrating, if your Mini is properly equipped, you can actually open up the tailgate by just kicking your feet underneath the bumper, and of course that reveals a me. Now I assume you won't be carrying many humans in the boot, and if you were to, it'd actually be quite comfortable. But things like suitcases and bags, so of course we had all our bags, our food, we had a ton of food of course, our camera equipment all loaded up in here, and the really cool thing is there's actually a secret compartment underneath the boot floor, which I'll cut away to now. So as you can see, we've got lots of stuff in here, and we also have lots of sort of little cubbies around, so over here and over here, some more nets over here and there, and even a little handy shopping hook to stop your shopping from rolling around. Folding the seats is pretty easy, just on the top corners down there, and of course they fold nice and flat, so again, those occasional trips to IKEA should be a piece of cake.
My favorite songs you bump them loud and clear. Is this taboo what we do, me and you, or are we super cool, breaking all the fucking rules? I'm knocking on the floor, you take a broom to the ceiling. If you need some sugar, there's no problem, doorbell ringing. Dumb Panama, dumb Panama, dumb ya. Why you making?
Alright, so here's what you need to know about driving the new Mini Clubman. First of all, does it still feel like a Mini? Well, we're currently driving around the streets of Geneva. It's quiet, it's smooth, and you really don't feel the bumps as much, especially not if you are used to driving, say, older Minis or the original new Mini perhaps. How are the gear changes? Well, we're in the manual at the moment, and the manual is pretty smooth and very easy to use. The clutch is also pretty light, so even in town, it's not really much of a big deal anyway. So of course we were driving through town in green mode, being as efficient as possible, and now we're on the foothills of the mountains where we've got some snow and some seriously curvy modes. So let's dab it a couple of notches up into sport, change down to second, and yeah, you can definitely have a lot of fun on the Mini. Of course, the really cool thing about this engine is it's actually lifted from the BMW i8 supercar. Not quite as powerful, but it makes the same kind of noises as an i8 does. Of course, the Mini is a BMW product, meaning that your driving position is bang on and the steering is very responsive. Although it is electrically assisted, it does feel very connected to the road. You feel exactly what the wheels are doing. Because we're in sport mode, it's a lot heavier and it feels a lot sharper to use. Now, things I'm not so keen about on the interior. Of course, you have the really cool center console here with a lot of buttons. Now, some of those buttons are a little bit difficult to see because, of course, of the air conditioning dial. So if I want to see, for example, if the rear demister was on, I couldn't tell you unless I looked all the way down, which, of course, would be a little bit dangerous. The other thing is the iDrive-esque controls down here. Now, of course, again, that's lifted straight from BMW again, but the fact that it's placed directly in front of the armrest means for smaller people like me, it's a little bit awkward to use because of course I kind of have to bend my arm in this kind of position to be able to use it properly. But really these are only very, very small things that otherwise won't bother you in the ownership of this car. Everything else about this car is just perfect. So what's it like to drive on, say, motorways or the autoroute in France? Well, actually for a Mini, it's very quiet, almost too quiet. It's actually very comfortable, which is something you wouldn't really expect from a Mini, because you kind of expect them to be small, cute city cars that are very nimble around town, it can be, you know, parked easily and aren't very practical. But in this case, of course, we have 5 proper seats, a big boot, and a very economical engine that's also very comfortable on longer journeys. We've been driving for over 665 kilometers and we average 48.1 miles per gallon. And remember, this is of course a petrol-powered car the size of a Volkswagen Golf. And so far, of course, as you can hear, it's been super quiet and super comfortable. We've just passed the French toll. Us being on a road trip, we have to kind of review the cubby spaces, and we have plenty of those. Cup holders galore, plenty of spaces for our rubbish and our crisps and snacks. We've got things everywhere in the car, and we have my phone linked up to the Bluetooth system, so we've got music playing to our playlist. So really the car's kept us entertained. And we even have this little gizmo here, so if I go onto vehicle information, it will actually tell me how well I've been driving, well in terms of my acceleration, anticipation and changing gear. And it rates me out of 5 stars, and so far I've had 5 stars on everything. Thank you, I know, I'm just amazing really. Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. So long story short, this has been supremely comfortable. Alright, so we've come back down to Lake Geneva, which is behind us, and isn't it looking pretty? Of course, Mont Blanc just over there in the distance, we can't actually see it. But what do we think of the Mini? Well, you know what, I think it's pretty great. It's big, it's really comfortable, it's quiet, it's very economical, especially with the petrol engine. The diesel will be a lot more economical still, and it drives like a Mini should. The only thing that's really kind of giving me some conflict here is the car's size. This is of course called a Mini, and yet it's as big as a Golf. But are we going to see a trend of bigger and bigger Minis? Of course, we know the new Countryman's coming out soon, which is said to be bigger still than this. So I suppose it's going to be interesting to see how Mini goes in the future. But for now, of course, for what we have here in black on grey, which is a very corporate-y kind of combination, I think the Mini is a great car. But of course, do let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you did enjoy the video, and if you did enjoy the fact that we drove all the way down here just for you guys to be able to see some snow and some driving footage of those lovely hills over there in the distance, then do make sure you subscribe and like and share the video with your friends, and hopefully you'll see more of these videos coming up soon.